Pleasant about that place. Even your emotion had an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without care, I was out of tone. But it wasn't because I didn't know, no. I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly. I hope that you're having the time of your life. Think twice. That's all. Hello, everybody. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. I know I said that I would be with you at 11 o'clock, and my sincere apologies. This is Simoson Building. You must understand that life happens here. And when it does, you have to roll with the punches. Some of you may not understand and may not realize that I actually work here. And the vlogging and the content creation is a side hustle. And I must point out, I love the side hustle. I do. I live for it. I relish it. And I'm just glad that you guys get to be a part of it because you choose to be a part of it. Thank you for that. A few shout outs to you before we begin. Please tell me in the comments if you can get me loud and clear. I'm over here at Simoson Building, plot number 8585, Simon Wewa Lane, on the corner of Lucia and Simon. Lucia Shabwalia Road and Simon Wewa Lane. You know, the other day I know I shared this with you. I'll share it with you again. Not too long ago, the legendary football player, Kalu Shabwalia, was in the country, and I met him at the airport. And the very first thing I said to him, I said, you know, I mention you every single day. He says, I see you. I say your name every day because you're literally, your road, the road that's named after you is literally right next to the road that's named after SML. And it's always a pleasure to see him. It really is. A few shout outs. Watching from Choma, somebody says. Thank you. From loud and clear. That's good. Loud and clear. I find that at this time, around 11, a little after 11 o'clock, the internet it's okay. But then again, it's unpredictable. It could be great this week, and then it's not so great next week, you know. So you just got to roll with the punches. Guys, let's talk about a few things here that I think are very important. I'm going to first of all begin with the scandal surrounding the American television preacher T.D. Jakes. Now, we've seen this before. The word of God in Ecclesiastes says what has been will be again. There is nothing new under the sun. This is not the first time a preacher has been embroiled in some type of scandal, be it sexual or otherwise. Now, the story is, as I brought it to you yesterday, and everybody knows this, it's making its rounds on social media. And there's something different about preacher sex scandals now than it was back in the 70s and the 80s. Of course, we still had media back then, but we didn't have social media. And social media sort of gives it a different slant. Just to bring you up to speed, everybody knows that Bishop T.D. Jakes, the mega pastor from the state of Texas, has been apparently embroiled in some type of sexual scandal, some type of sexual escapades with P. Diddy's party patrons. The story is that Bishop T.D. Jakes goes to these P. Diddy parties. P. Diddy, well, we know him as Puff Daddy. I think the new generation, they call him P. Diddy. We knew him as Puff Daddy. He's an R&B hip hop artist, producer, and he's known for throwing these crazy sexually charged escapades, these sexual rendezvous. The singer Usher alluded to it. I remember 50 Cent once said that, there's something gay about P. Diddy, and when 50 Cent said it, everybody sort of raised their eyebrows and people were sort of aghast and shocked. Well, now that all of this stuff has been coming out, people are beginning to take a closer look at P. Diddy and his activities. But what is scandalous is that what is a preacher doing at a P. Diddy party? It's one thing to have P. Diddy come over to T.D. Jakes' office or his home. That would probably give it the ambiance or the sense that, there's some type of counseling, some type of discussion, some type of confidence building going on, But if P. Diddy is asking a bishop to come over and spend time at a P. Diddy party where all they do is bump, grind, sniff cocaine, there are hookers everywhere, it begs the question and it raises the question, what the heck is a preacher doing at a P. Diddy party? And to quote my friend, I know he said it today, Pastor Walter, he made reference. He said, well, that's what you get. When you lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas. And I think it's disingenuous for Bishop T.D. Jakes to make this look like it's a witch hunt and he's being attacked by the devil or he's being oppressed or persecuted. The number one thing that preachers should do, and I've only seen one mega preacher do this the correct way. All of them mess it up. Everyone from Bishop Eddie Long. Eddie Long died without ever acknowledging his wrongdoing, his skullduggery, his sexapades. He never owned up to anything. There are preachers that are lying, strewn through history, that have done the same thing. There's only one preacher that I know of that stood in front of his congregation and said, I sinned, I did wrong, I take full responsibility for everything that is happening to me now. He lost half of his church. The revenue was cut almost in half because those are the consequences. Only one preacher's ever, to my knowledge, has ever come forward and just owned up and took responsibility. Most of these preachers, they sidestep, they never take responsibility because they feel that they are a law unto themselves. They preach to the choir, meaning they've already got a congregation that is fully loyal to them. So anything the preacher says, if the preacher stands up and says, I didn't do it, the whole congregation will stand up and say, well, my pastor didn't do it. Take responsibility. It's called accountability, taking responsibility for your actions. And I feel that T.D. Jakes is not doing that. The very fact that he went to church this past Sunday dressed in red, and he said, if you're here to listen to a lie, then you might as well keep scrolling. What you do is you deal with it. You don't sidestep it. You don't shirk the responsibility off onto others. You deal with it. You embrace it for what it is and let the chips fall where they may, because that's the consequence of life. That's just how it is. You can't avoid the consequences. And I think that this is very telling. This whole story is very, very telling. And I think that T.D. Jakes' ministries is in for a very bumpy ride because things are different over there. In the States, they really, accountability, credibility, integrity, those things are very high, over there. And if they feel that you're not living up to that, they throw you aside. And that's not to say that there's such a thing as a perfect preacher. There are no perfect preachers. There are only perfect intentions. Churches are not holy lands. Churches are not perfect edifices. You know why? Because they're run by people. They're run by fickle, frail human beings that are susceptible to these things. So they're not perfect. All we're asking for is accountability, not perfection, accountability. That's all. So he's in for a bumpy ride, and we'll see where that goes. All righty. Secondly and lastly, I want to talk about this local scandal that's been swirling around. And this is Honorable Stanley Kasongo Kakubo. He's the MP for Kapirimposhi there, Kapirimposhuko, and he's the former Minister of Foreign Affairs. He's former because he's just recently resigned. Everybody knows that he submitted and handed in his letter of resignation against the backdrop of some type of allegation. Now, the allegation is that he was involved in some type of dark shadow clandestine mine sailing deal, okay, involving the Chinese or Chinese group. And apparently he's been videotaped Are we back or are we back? Goodness. You know what I didn't do? I didn't connect my I did not connect. Where is the PA currency? There you are. All righty. Sorry about that. I truly apologize for that. So, if I could continue, we were talking about Honorable Stanley Kakubo, who has recently lodged in or submitted his resignation. Everybody knows the story. The story is allegedly he's been involved with the Chinese. And the slant of the story is that you remember not too long ago, this same gentleman was named as someone that had allegedly made some type of transaction. And he said, well, I was just receiving a calendar from the Chinese. Remember that story? It was just me getting a calendar from the Chinese, and these are friends of mine, and you know, that's how he explained it. And when the president was asked about this issue, when a journalist, I'll never forget, a journalist at State House at one of the state press briefings asked President Hakainde Hichilema and said to him, well, what's your take on this issue? One of the ministers has been apparently involved with the Chinese, and there's some indication that there's some type of clandestine under the table activity. The president was very clear, and he said, well, I called him in and I asked him about it, and he gave me his side of the story. And the president seemed to believe that the explanation was satisfactory. And then the president went further and said, well, if you bring me evidence that there's something going on that's not supposed to be going on, I will be more than glad to look at it. You know, because, you know, you can't fire people just because somebody said you did something. You have to have proof. You have to have evidence. Now, the slant of the story, and some of you may have been hearing this, but this is certainly what I've been hearing. The slant of the story is that this gentleman, Kakubo, sold a mine to two separate entities. And that one entity that was aggrieved had recorded the transaction, you know, for proof. And then when they felt that they were jilted, and of course all this is alleged, when this company felt that they were jilted, they then produced this videotape. Now, as far as I can see, unless I'm looking at a different videotape, I haven't seen Kakubo's face there. I haven't seen it. I would love to see that. What I'm seeing is an exchange of money. I'm seeing a man, a black Zambian man, sitting at a desk, an office desk, and then the video is less than 3 minutes long. It's less than 3 minutes, and all you see, money being exchanged, a black man sitting behind a desk at an office desk. He stands up, he walks away. Now, this is the videotape that's being circulated and being attached to the former Minister of Foreign Affairs. Now, if that is all that is being used as evidence, I'm really hoping to see his face on there. I really want to see that. Now, of course, he himself, Kakubo, has issued a statement, and this is what he said. He said that in due course, we shall put the story into the correct context. Now, that's iffy. That's very iffy because there is no due course. The course is now. Anytime you hear someone say, well, we'll clear it up later. Well, there is no later. You need to clear it up now. Now, given the fact that this is not the first time that Kakubo has been named and has been mentioned, and this is not the first time that it has been alleged that Kakubo has been involved in some type of clandestine, under-the-table activity, given that fact, this is when we can stand up and say there is no smoke without fire. There's smoke there because the first incident was the smoke. This incident now is the fire. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? Tell me in the comments if that resonates with you. I'll say it again. They say that there's no smoke without fire. Well, the very first incident when Kakubo said, no, that was just a calendar. Those chaps were just giving me a calendar. In fact, those are my friends. And they were just giving me a calendar. That was the smoke. The fire now is Kakubo submitting his resignation and issuing this statement saying, in due course, we shall put the story into the correct context. That's very gray area-ish. That doesn't convince me. That just raises more questions than answers it. That raises more red flags than anything else. What we're witnessing here is a minister of foreign affairs that is known more for business transactions than he is known for his job as Minister of Foreign Affairs. That's what's disturbing about all this, is that anytime you have a man who has been placed in a position of authority, a position like the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and all you hear is about this deal and that deal and calendars and Chinese people and underhanded methods and money being exchanged, it means you are being known for more than what your job description is. That's a problem. And that shouldn't be the case. And especially against the backdrop of what President Hakainde Hichilema announced not too long ago. You remember at the press briefing, he said that now, whenever you're involved or allegedly involved in corruption, your case will be fast-tracked within 5 months, whoever you are. Now, of course, he said this before this Kakubo scandal. So we are fully expecting within 5 months this issue to reach its logical conclusion. Now, of course, everybody, especially the opposition, not too long ago, I just read a statement that former President Lungu, ECL, has demanded an investigation into this case, and rightly so. And that's a fair comment. That's a fair assessment of the issue. That's a fair request. There's nothing unreasonable about that. ECL is correct when he says this issue has to be investigated. And it's also important to note, guys, you must understand that in this country, the mining sector is one of the most scandalous sectors in the whole nation. For years, administration upon administration upon administration, people within different administrations have always looked at the mines as a personal piggy bank. They've always looked at the mines as something that will benefit them first before it benefits the nation. You've got characters within the system. All they do is look at the mining sector and think, how am I going to benefit personally from that? And there's a problem there. This is not the first administration to deal with such problems. In fact, if anything, this is one of the first administrations where this has come out. Previously, all of this was hush-hush. Previously, all of this was on the down low. Previously, all of this was swept under the rug. Previously, all of this was being done under the clandestine cloud of darkness. We didn't even know what people were doing under the cover of darkness in the mining sector. So when you have a minister of foreign affairs who's always involved Gucci, no, these are my personal businesses. Always I am a calendar and you are known more for that, then there's a problem. There's a red flag. So let's go where the evidence takes us, wherever that will be. Let's go where the evidence takes us. All right. Trust issues speaks volumes here. Oh, yeah. Because the story I'm hearing is that there's a mine that was sold to two different people or two different entities. And, these guys are parting away with it's alleged, $200,000. It's a lot of money. So you want to protect yourself, especially when you're dealing with government, when you're dealing with government officials, ministers, when you're dealing with ministers and these government people, these Chinese nationals, they want to cover their backs. They want to make sure that their money works. So they'll record you. They will record you to protect themselves. It will not be an issue of no, he said, she said. No, Bwana, they'll be videotaping you. You don't even know. And because you are so blinded, because you are just kabiraling, then drama, you are completely unaware. You are oblivious to the fact that you are being watched, you are being recorded. Yeah? Concentrate on your mandate. Concentrate on the job that you've been given. If you are a minister of foreign affairs, concentrate on that. You are the servant of the people. You're not there to make deals. That's nonsense. Total nonsense. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. Thanks for watching, guys. And sorry about the hiccup earlier. Bye.